Hey, what's up, guys? Harry here, and today I want to talk about my experience renting a car with a new company called Turo. So that's Turo. Turo is actually a marketplace for regular car owners like you and I to rent their vehicles to car renters. So it's sort of like an Airbnb, but for cars. That's kind of how I think of it. Now, the reason why I actually got interested in Turo is because I'm always looking for ways to earn extra income. And one of the things that I like about Turo is that it gives you the opportunity as a car owner to turn a depreciating asset, right, your car, which is, losing money over time into something that actually can potentially produce income, right? This is actually a really good theme in a book I read once called Rich Dad Poor Dad. We'll leave a link to that. You can check it out on Amazon. But obviously, it's not as simple, right, though, as just list your car, kick back, get rich, let the money flow in just by renting out your car. Otherwise, everyone would be doing it. But before I ever try out driving for a new service, working for a new company, renting my car out, I always like to try it on the consumer side first, see how it works. So the first time I actually tried to rent a car with Turo, I failed. Totally, I would say partly my fault though, because I was really thinking of Turo as more of an on-demand marketplace. I'm so used to Uber. I need a ride, call it and go, right? Turo isn't necessarily on demand yet. So I needed to rent a car on a Friday for a weekend trip. So I went on their site on Thursday and actually tried to rent a car, but it ended up being a huge pain in the ass. So that's why I say it's sort of my fault, because I kept trying to book cars that said they were available, and then the owners would get back to me 2 or 3 hours later and say they weren't, even though they had availability listed. Now, Turo did have an instant booking option. I even tried that one time, and that wasn't instant. So I think that one was a little bit their fault. But this is pretty common for a lot of marketplace sites, because when they're new, I mean, owners, you can imagine, let's say this site is brand new or relatively new. Turo's been around for a while, but most people haven't heard of it yet, right? And so owners that are going to start listing their cars, since this service is still so new, they might have a lot more owners than customers, right? And let's say you're an owner and you're only renting your car out for a couple days a week or even a couple days a month, right? You're probably not going to be keeping your inventory updated on a day-to-day or even week-to-week basis, just because you're not making a whole lot and not that invested, right? So it was a good learn, and that's sort of what ended up happening to me, right? You probably had all these owners who weren't renting out their car a ton, and so didn't have great, their availability that they said they had probably wasn't that accurate. It was a good learning experience though, because it really made me realize that, hey, if I want to list my car on the platform, this is a big opportunity, right? I should put something in the title of my vehicle right first, before even what type of car it is. It says, I respond in 15 minutes. And then make sure that I have text alerts or whatever, email alerts, whatever I'm going to check, set up with Turo, so that when I do get an inquiry from some joker like me who's, doesn't understand and is trying to book it on demand, that now I can actually be available for that person, and my listing is going to draw more people's eyes. And the people that just want to book it regularly, they're still going to use my listing, right? So it actually increases my chances of getting booking. So that way, those last minute bookings, right? Hopefully they're drawn to my listing. So, I actually used to do this, from the consumer side when Airbnb was super new. What I would do, and kind of my tip, if you're looking to rent out a car on Turo and you sort of experience something similar and you're having problems, or with any of these marketplace sites, finding people, or that they're not having their true availability listed, what I used to do is kind of search area, times, pick 5 or 10 listings that look good to me, and just send the exact same email. Hey, going to be in town for these 3 days, need a listing or need a car, whatever it might be, need a house, whatever it might be. Tell me more about the property. And then maybe half the people would get back to me and say, oh, my property is not available. The other half would say, oh, my property is available. And then I would only look and do sort of further research on those properties or those cars that were available, because you don't want to waste your time, and it's frustrating, right? Researching, and especially if you're new, you're going to do a lot of extra work, and then it's not even going to be available, and that's probably going to piss you off. So that's a good tip. So the second time, my successful time actually renting a car, was a much better experience. I searched for a car for a few weeks in advance of my trip, and I found this sweet little Volvo convertible. I've never driven a convertible before, or I've never obviously owned or rented one, and I ended up picking this cool little Volvo, and it was actually able to book it no problem. The first person I picked, since probably because there was more advance notice, they said, yeah, that's no problem. It was very reasonably priced too. My rental, I think it ended up being $75 a day, despite paying for the premium insurance. And that's definitely one thing that you want to keep in mind, because normally when I rent a car, I actually decline the insurance and pay with a credit card, like my Chase Ink Plus, or one of my Chase Ink cards that I know has really good protection. And we have a good list of business or even personal cards on the site. I'll leave a link in the show notes, because some of these will protect you, and you can save a lot of money on the insurance part. But I specifically called them and asked if they would cover Turo or similar marketplace, like owner to renter vehicle sites or whatever you want to call them. And they said, no, my personal insurance also wouldn't cover it. So that kind of was a bummer. So I had to spend a little bit extra on insurance, but it's definitely worth it for kind of that added protection. I'm sure in the future they'll work it out and credit card companies will be okay with it. But now, since it's so new, they're kind of averse to risk, right? A couple of other things to keep in mind when actually making a booking. For multi-day rentals, I saw a lot of owners will actually include drop-off or pick-up for free, because that's the other thing, right? If you rent from an Avis, you have to go to their place. But the nice thing about this, or that could be nice, is that since it's an individual owner, right, they have to come and get the car to you. And if it's a multi-day rental, they'll actually most often do it for free. If you're only renting for 1 or 2 days, though, you might have to pay 20, 30, $40. So definitely keep that in mind. And if you're looking to rent a car from Turo and you're flying somewhere, that's a great opportunity that now you don't need an Uber, right, to the car place or, to the hotel or whatever it might be, because you can actually have the owner meet you at the airport. And that's one of the cool options I noticed on Turo, and that's what we did. So that way you don't need to pay for an Uber wherever you're going, right? Even if they're charging you a $20 drop-off fee, it might be cheaper or easier or more convenient than you have to take some other means of transportation. So that was definitely a cool feature. Hopefully these tips are helping you guys, because if the thought of kind of renting out your car for money really sounds appealing, I definitely consider a service like Turo. And if you ever need to rent a car, the prices are great. Very comparable, if not cheaper, to renting with like one of the big boys. And I love that they have kind of a diverse selection of cars. I mean, I had a friend that used Turo who just went to Hawaii, and he rented a Jeep, which was super cool. Or you can rent I want to maybe rent like a Tesla or something like that next time my birthday rolls around, and just cruise around in a Tesla for a day. So definitely a lot of cool stuff. I know Uberman has some experience renting his vehicles on Turo. I interviewed him on my channel about that, and he's got some videos on his channel. So if you want to learn a little bit more, you can do that, or stay tuned. We've actually got a link to sign up with Turo that I'll leave in the show notes. And if you guys are interested, go ahead and check it out. And if you're just interested in vehicle options in general, there's so many vehicle options these days, whether you're a car renter or whether you're looking for a rideshare specific rental. We have a vehicle marketplace on our site that has all the options available, and sort of we've done research into all of them, reviewed a lot of them, and you guys can learn a lot more there, especially if you're in need of a vehicle or even just looking to rent. So I'll leave a link to the show notes in that. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. If you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We release new videos every single week, and I'd love to hear from you. So until further notice, take care and drive safe.